to yet another Windy City Times 30 Under 30 Awards. First of all, before anything else, could I get a round of applause for all of our recipients? Through our nomination process, we always get just the best and the brightest of the community. It always amazes me that every year there are 30 more to honor, and of course there are many more. It's a process, but we've chosen this 30, and we're very happy with our choices. My name is Kirk Williamson. I'm art director of Windy City Times. I am one of your hosts for the evening. I will be introducing our other host, Jerry Nunn. He's waiting back here in the wings in just a second. But first, I just want to quickly say this is, like I said, the 16th annual 30 Under 30 Awards, which I think is remarkable considering that I think the youngest person we have up here is 18. So, I mean, we're getting pretty close to the time when we'll be able to say that, you know, recipients in the current year weren't even born when we started doing these awards. And when you look back at all the changes in the community, you know, decision days, coming any day from the Supreme Court, and, you know, trans acceptance, gaining more acceptance, you know, so many things have changed in the community. I think that it's sort of fantastic that we've been able to honor as many people as we have, and we will continue to do so throughout the years. So once again, let me throw you real quick to my co-host. This is Jerry Nunn. Please give him a little round of applause.
Thanks, everyone. I'm very excited to be here and to present awards to all these great people in our community. We just want to thank our sponsors. We have Center and Halstead, of course, is a sponsor here for having us. The AIDS Foundation of Chicago and Chicago House. And if you enjoyed that food, that's by Polo. So I saw a lot of people eating some brownies. I'm over 40. I'm not going to be eating the brownies. But when you're under 30, feel free. Eat the brownies. They look delicious. So let's kick it off and get started. Okay. The first person that we're presenting awards to is L'Oreal Bailey. She's 29, a long life resident of the west side of Chicago. L'Oreal holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Public Health with an emphasis in Health Administration from Northern Illinois University, and a Master of Business Administration degree from DeVry University. While attending NIU, she joined the Sisters organization, which has not only gave back to the community, but helped uplift young women of color. In 2010, she began working at Ruth M. Rothstein Core Center, where she became an advocate linking and re-engaging people living with HIV/AIDS back into care. Currently, L'Oreal is the Research Evaluation Coordinator for Project Elevate at the AIDS Foundation of Chicago. Project Elevate is a groundbreaking STI prevention and treatment campaign created by and for young cisgender women of color and young transgender women of color throughout the Chicagoland area. L'Oreal believes her greatest accomplishment to date is having a healthy, beautiful baby boy who keeps her active and reminds her daily that our youth is our future. As an ally for the LGBTQ community, Miss Bailey has participated in several campaigns to improve the health of this community and to raise awareness for the many issues faced by these individuals on a daily basis. Now, did you know L'Oreal loves swimming? It gives her a sense of peace and calmness. Right up.
There we go. That's it. There. One more.
You want to say a couple words?
You definitely put me on the spot. I would just like to thank, first off, my manager, Kelly, for nominating me. She's not here today, but I just wanted to thank her for that, and also thank the Core Center and also definitely AFC. I'm a huge advocate for, you know, equality, and I'm going to continue to fight and make sure that, you know, the LGBTQ community is represented. And I just want to thank everybody and thank those that came to support me today.
Quick host note, L'Oreal's length of time of speaking was perfect, so I'll try and use that as a gauge. But do what you will, it's your night. All right, our second honoree, but do what I say, Brian Bautista Gutierrez, 25. Yes. Is a University of Washington Seattle alumnus having graduated with a degree in political science and Spanish with a focus on Latino civic engagement. He began addressing HIV in college by volunteering with a local Latino HIV prevention nonprofit, Entre Hermanos. He traveled to Chicago in 2011 to attend the United, I think I can pronounce that word, States Conference on AIDS. He fell in love with this incredible city and its people, decided to make Chicago his new home, and has been working for Howard Brown Health Center since 2013. He began his career there as a health educator, providing HIV prevention services to youth at the Broadway Youth Center, a service through Howard Brown. Eventually, he transitioned to his current role as PrEP coordinator at Howard Brown's main clinic site. Brian helped some of Chicago's most vulnerable populations for HIV infections navigate the complexities of the healthcare system so that they can access PrEP, a new biomedical HIV prevention option involving daily medication. Furthermore, Brian has been part of the effort to get out the Latino vote in Chicago, working with various political campaigns. Most recently, he volunteered for mayoral candidate Jesus Chuy Garcia and newly elected 35th Ward Alderman Carlos Ramirez Rosso, I think is on stage too. Brian plans to put more on that later in the R's. Brian plans to continue his work at Howard Brown and eventually return to academia to pursue a Master's of Science in Nursing. And did you know? Brian is a fan of author Junot Diaz. He has been reading his books for years, finding his writing both familiar and empowering. Please welcome Brian Bautista Gutierrez.
Thank you, everyone, and especially big thanks to everyone who nominated me. Very appreciative of this type of gathering where I'm from in Washington. LGBT people don't get anywhere near this type of recognition, so thank you very much.
One more?
All right, our next honoree is Bria M. Berger. Age 25, was born and raised in Michigan and now calls Chicago home. Bria works as an intensive case manager at Chicago House and social service agency where she supports HIV-affected adults and families experience homelessness and unstable housing. Prior to this, Bria worked with the Trans Works program of the Trans Life Center where she co-developed a mentorship program for trans-identified community members. In addition to nonprofit work, for the past 5 years, Bria has worked in academic research on various projects studying HIV prevention, LGBTQ youth homelessness, and the lived experiences of people experiencing mental illness. Most recently, Bria has been researching the family connections of LGBTQ youth experiencing homelessness with researchers at University of Chicago School of Social Service Administration, where she graduated with a master's degree in social work in 2014. Bria also volunteers as a clinic escort with Illinois Choice Action Team to support those accessing reproductive services. An avid writer, Bria recently published her first piece in a literary journal. Now, did you know Bria has synesthesia, which causes her to experience visual textures to words and sounds? So step right up, Bria.
Thank you, and sorry for the delay. There was a bike breakdown, and we had to book it here. But thank you so much. It's really fun to be here because last year I was in the audience watching my then best friend and now partner, Iggy Ladden, accept their award. So it's a treasure to be here. Thinking about the last year, a few things have happened I just want to say really quickly. Coming out to my parents with the ambiguity of a queer identity, being rooted in Chicago's queer community of friends, which I've never imagined could be so supportive, and making a lot of mistakes in a quest for allyship, have been three things that have been tremendously instrumental to my growth, and I feel incredibly thankful for that. And I'm also really humbled to be here because so much of the work that I've done in support of HIV-affected and LGBTQ folks has been in formal institutional settings, and I recognize that my privilege has gotten me into those settings, and so many folks here are doing amazing work not in those settings, and I think part of my job as a social worker is to work myself out of a job, and I'm really excited to do that with everybody here. So thank you.
One more.
All right. Alex Blair, 28, was born in West Bend, Wisconsin, and now lives in Duluth. Alex owns and operates 4 Freshie franchises, am I pronouncing that right? In Chicago, more locations opening throughout the year. He earned his BA in Business Management from the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater. Without any true restaurant experience, Alex joined the Freshie team and has played a major role in building the fast casual restaurant's presence in Chicago. When Alex is not at one of his Freshie locations serving customers fresh juices and energizing meals, he can be found exercising at Equinox, inverting at Yoga 6, or in the pool competing with the Illinois Masters swim team, the Chicago Smelts. Smelt up over here. He lives for visits to dog parks with his 3 adorable French bulldogs, Baxter, Trouble, and Jack. He savors summer Sundays boating along Lake Michigan. As a new resident to the Bucktown neighborhood, Alex loves exploring the diverse culinary adventures with his husband, Christopher. And did you know that Alex's first trip out of the country was to meet the Freshie corporate team in Toronto? A trip that was well worth it, as you can see. Ladies and gentlemen, Alex Blair.
A little big for this mic. Just talk really loud. Thanks so much to everyone who nominated me, and thanks to Dave and Jenna for really supporting me in all of my endeavors. Freshie is an amazing company based out of Toronto. We now have 180 locations worldwide. We're opening 3 a week. They're incredibly supportive of the LGBTQ community, and being the largest franchisee for that company, I can help sway efforts in our favor for lots of different things, which is great. So thanks again.
All right. Good job.
Next we have Emily Blake, who is a Sagittarius with a Pisces rising and moved. Who grew up in the south suburbs and moved to Chicago in 2006. He does youth work at the Broadway Youth Center, providing HIV/STI testing sessions and designing and facilitating sexual health programming. He provided support for survivors of sexual violence as an advocate and hotline worker before coming to BYC. He believes in intentional, accessible, and harm reduction-based healthcare and is pursuing a nursing degree. He's grateful for the amazing youth workers, young people, rad nurses, organizers, and activists that came before him who he's able to learn from. Now, did you know he got the #1 Femme Hippo Award at BYC 2 of the 3 years that he's been working there? So.
Thank you so much, everyone. I'm really humbled and excited to get to share the stage with so many folks who are doing really amazing work in Chicago, who have lived here for a while, or who just love this city. Mostly, I'm really excited that folks who are doing prison abolition, working for young people who are experiencing homelessness, people who are targeted by the police, who are doing this kind of work all day, all night, and also finding ways to love themselves, that I get to share the stage with them. So thank you very much.
One more. We're doing 2 everybody.
All right, our next recipient goes by the name of Blue. Blue is a program manager at Howard Brown Health Center, where he coordinates transgender and gender nonconforming specific services. He trains medical, behavioral health, and support service staff all over Chicago on how to be more trans-inclusive and celebratory. Driven by his own experiences as a trans-masculine person, Blue believes in the power of resource-driven healing spaces where trans and gender nonconforming people come together, dream, and take control of their own health care. And did you know that Blue is in a queer punk band called Slop Sick? Blue, tell us more about that, please. Are we?
Blue's not here, but he asked me to accept the award for him, so yay, Blue!
So we also have Robert Cornelius, who's 27 and not able to be here. So we'll congratulate him at the end. Okay.
All right. Christine Head, 25, was born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia. After attending Bryn Mawr College and working in the Office of Intercultural Affairs around issues of race, class, sexual orientation, and gender identity, Christine moved to Chicago to start her career in policy advocacy and continue her work as an ally. After working as an external organizer at Service Employees International Union Local 73, Christine began her work in juvenile justice advocacy at Health and Medicine Policy Research Group. During her time at Health and Medicine, Christine has successfully spearheaded many efforts to improve outcome for LGBTQ youth in the juvenile justice system that include, but are not limited to, the adoption of a best practice guide for probation officers in Cook County, planning a number of interactive forums on issues related to juveniles, such as disproportionate minority contact and healthcare access, and speaking at the W. Haywood Burns 10th Anniversary Conference on the future of sexual orientation and gender identity competence in relation to racial and ethnic disparities. Christine continues to work to push forward policy reform that is conscious of SOGI competence, as well as racial and ethnic disparities in contact with the juvenile justice system. And did you know that Christine has had the chicken pox twice? Yes, that is totally a thing. Christine had...
Hello, everyone, and I just want to thank the people who nominated me, my friends who are not here because they are big proponents of PC time or CP time and don't know that people have to come to things on time. But also just being able to share space with such awesome people. I didn't know about the speech requirements, so I'm just going to stop there, really. And also, more fun facts. If you didn't notice, I copied and pasted a lot of this from a cover letter. So that's why it sounded like that. But I'm really excited to share that because I think in these spaces we don't really have an opportunity to not take ourselves seriously. And, we're doing really hard work, especially on the more progressive to radical end. So sometimes it's okay to admit that maybe you wrote this by copying and pasting things from LinkedIn. Maybe then people get chickenpox twice, and that's hard to explain to doctors. So that's the main thing I can share in this few minutes. I hope is that we all kind of loosen up a little bit and take things a little less seriously so that we ourselves don't die of a heart attack and end up a statistic in one of the reports that we're going to report on later.
Open, O sesame.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. One more.
Our next recipient is Jess Kadish, 26, who's a Boston-born, Chicago-based artist who's obsessed with storytelling, both doing it herself and building spaces for others to tell them. As a storyteller, she's an actor, director, and teaching artist around town. A proud company member with the Second Story and Aguijón Theater Company, and has also collaborated with Goodman Theater, Lifeline Theater, and Pride Films and Plays, among others. As a builder of story spaces, Jess serves as director of programming at Second Story, a collective dedicated to the power of nonfiction and storytelling. To her, nothing is better than the moment when a writer or performer sees their own story in a new way for the first time, or when an audience member finds something of him or herself in another story and is moved to tell their own. Jess also works as the project manager at Mortem Group, a consulting firm specializing in social change, where she coordinated the 2011 LGBT Community Needs Assessment, her first real introduction to Chicago's LGBTQ community, which she couldn't be more grateful to be part of. This fall, Jess will be pursuing her MFA in acting at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. Now, did you know Jess recently proposed to her partner, Erica, with a line from a Key and Peele sketch? And she said yes.
Hi, everyone. I'd like to thank my Second Story family for nominating me for this. I would like to thank all of you guys for all of the work that you do in our community every day. And I would like to thank Mary Morton for showing me how to be an activist, artist, and business person all at the same time, get the work done, and always be camera ready. And I would love also just to name that 4 years ago, the LGBT Community Needs Assessment that we coordinated through Morton Group. We kicked it off with a press breakfast right here in this lobby, here in the 3rd floor of the Center on Halsted. And I remember just looking around the room and thinking, wow, look at this community. I was fresh out of college. I had no idea what was going on. I had no idea who anybody was. And being in that same space 4 years later, receiving a recognition like this feels really exciting. So thank you very much.
Camera ready now.
Just to be safe, before I go on reading people's particular bios, I will ask you to confirm if you are here in that spirit. Naomi Lahiri? Aha, I see a hand. So, Naomi Lahiri, over there in the corner, 26, had parents, immigrants from West Bengal, who raised her and her siblings in the United Kingdom. She moved to the United States in her teens. She then came out to herself and most others at the beginning of college when she was 17. Naomi completed her undergraduate degrees in gender studies and social work at the University of Missouri, and then her master's in social work at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. You get what I mean. She has been pursuing her social work and activist dreams in Chicago for the past 3.5 years, and is now a licensed clinical social worker. Much of her hands-on organizing and work experience has been through Tricone Chicago, Apnagar, and Chicago Desi Youth Rising, all organizations working towards social justice and empowerment for South Asians and immigrants. She is now becoming more involved with the Desi LGBT Helpline and the Queer South Asian National Network. And did you know she does not like fresh mangoes? She hasn't admitted this to very many people before. Well, this is the place to come out, Naomi. Naomi Lahiri, please.
I just want to say thank you, Tracy Bang, for nominating me from Windy City Times, and also just want to say that the work I'm doing is not anything new or unique or groundbreaking, so I want to say thank you to the people who came before me, people that I didn't get to meet or know very well, the founding mothers of Apnagar, Ifti Nasim, gay Muslim Pakistani poet, and then other people who held my hand along the way. Karim Kupchandani from Tricone, and the women behind Gacy Family in India.
One more.
Congratulations.
Okay, our next honoree is Christopher Lenz. Christopher Lenz was born and raised in the northwest suburbs of Chicago. In February 2014, he attended his first service at the Lighthouse Church of Chicago. He continuously attended, and in May 2014, he became a part of the Pastoral Advisory Council as steward of worship. Through his leadership, he worked to create a safe space for gay men and women so they can come to worship and know they are valued members of the church. Christopher advocates for HIV/AIDS, health care, and rights, and Christopher studied at Truman College for his general studies. Christopher recently relocated to the Bay Area of California and works as a flight attendant for a major U.S. airline. In the Golden State, he plans to attend a 4-year university to further his education and earn a PhD in sociology with a concentration in African studies, HIV/AIDS, and LGBTQ issues. He also hopes to become involved in the gay community as he did in Chicago, because where he always be his hometown. Now, did you know Christopher loves the sound of high heels and dress shoes on marble floors? That is why he enjoys wearing his dress shoes. Clickety-clack.
I just would like to thank the people that nominated me for this, and also my friend Nathan that flew all the way from Houston to come support me, and then also Jamie Frazier, my pastor, that nominated me for this, and it's been quite an experience. Also, oh my gosh, Benjamin, who is part of Windy City Times, thank goodness he was able to get a hold of me because I was such a slippery fish. Because he kept on calling me, emailing me, and it was very difficult to get a hold of me because, up in the air, we don't have the ability to get in touch. So I want to thank him a lot for his patience. So, and it's truly a blessing. Thank you.
Do we have a Jessica London Shields in attendance? Jessica? Okay. Jessica is 29. Apparently she couldn't be here tonight, so we will make sure she gets her award, and congratulations to her. A little spirit clapping.
All right, so we're moving on to Paige May, who's 26. She's a black queer woman who grew up in rural Vermont. Moving to Chicago 4 years ago was profoundly politicizing for her. The city's rich community of radical activists connected her to organizing and has supported her ongoing political education and leadership development. She's now an organizer with We Charge Genocide, a grassroots effort to resist police violence against young people of color in Chicago. She's one of the 8 youth delegates who traveled to the United Nations and the lead author of the Shadow Report submitted to the UN Committee Against Torture. She has helped to organize several actions and events, including the Reclaim MLK March, the Stefan Watts Memorial and Freedom Ride, Women to Celebrate, Rally for Reparations, Police Torture Pop-Up Exhibit, and hashtag Shy to Baltimore March. She's currently focused on the youth-centered campaign hashtag Shy Stops, which seeks to challenge stop and frisk practices in Chicago. She's also working to launch Asada's Daughters, a new grassroots organizing collective for black women in Chicago. Now, through all of her work, she strives to challenge anti-blackness and organize through a black queer feminist politic. Now, did you know Paige's favorite instrument is the banjo? She dreams of the day she will sit on her front porch and learn to play the blues. Yeah.
Queer it up and do it different, and I wrote a thing. So, first of all, though, I do want to say thank you. It is really important, and I appreciate being appreciated. So I'm an organizer with We Charge Genocide, and I identify my work as being a part of the larger Black Lives Matter movement. And I don't want to make a whole speech about it, so I'm going to quickly and clearly say that the LGBTQ community needs to be doing more to support the Black Lives Matter movement. And more specifically, that our institutions, like the Center on Halstead, must recognize their complicit role in our oppression and stop contributing to the criminalization of queer and trans people of color, particularly young people. I do want to make a larger point, though. These days, I spend a lot of my time thinking about all the people who are gone. I strive to learn all of the names, but there are too many hashtags, and countless people whose names and stories I will never know. I can't help but be overwhelmed. How do we honor the dead? I don't have the answer, but I know it will require nothing less than a complete transformation of society. This demands that I push myself beyond a queer identity toward a queer politic. In doing so, my understanding of my resistance and our struggle expands. The fight becomes more than about who I love and begins to include how I love, and how that love fits into or out of social norms and access to power. With a queer politic, our struggle as LGBTQ people of all races, whose gender and sexuality are non-normative and thus oppressed, becomes more clearly connected to the struggle for Black liberation. Not because our struggles are the same, but because, number one, there are Black LGBTQ people in our community who are struggling, who are dying, who are being criminalized by the very institutions we are supposed to find refuge in, and who are being told by everything around them that their lives don't matter. And secondly, because the foundational logic of anti-Blackness is to interpret and position Black people as gender non-conforming and as permanently outside of heteronormativity. From Maya Hall in Baltimore to the Charleston shooting, where a white supremacist cis man murdered 9 people, mostly women, in the name of protecting white women from the trope of the hypersexual black male rapist. We can see that racialized norms of gender and sexuality are being mobilized to inflict and rationalize black suffering. But wherever there is oppression, there is also beautiful resistance. And I believe that the Black Lives Matter movement, not always, but at its best, is explicitly and fundamentally a movement for queer and trans liberation. This does not mean that non-black, queer, and trans people should start showing up trying to claim ownership and leadership of the Black Lives Matter movement, but that you all should understand that our liberation is directly tied to yours. And that if we as black people are not free, then you as non-black LGBTQ people are not free. Sylvia Rivera and Marsha P. Johnson knew this. They knew this as they organized the first Pride March in 1970. They knew this as they marched to the New York City jail where women from the Black Panther Party were locked up. And they knew this as they chanted, "Free our sisters, free ourselves." My friends and the young people of the Village Leadership Academy knew this as we organized the Reclaim MLK March earlier this year. We knew this as we marched to the Youth Detention Center where young people are locked up. And we knew this as we shouted to the sky, "Free us all, free us all, free us all." Ashe.
Well, this is as good a time as any for an intermission. We won't have one, but I'm just saying, after a speech like that, take it in. All right. Molly McAndrew? Aha. Molly McAndrew, 27, was raised in Lisbon, Iowa. After receiving her BA from the University of Iowa, Molly moved to Chicago to complete her graduate studies at the University of Chicago. After graduating, Molly remained in Chicago and began working at AIDS Foundation of Chicago. Molly's passion for healthcare access and affordability began and was fostered in college while volunteering for a women's reproductive health clinic. Molly saw firsthand the hurdles many women, specifically those with low income and those of color, faced when trying to access reproductive health care and decided to become more involved, joining the clinic's board of directors. In Chicago, Molly continued to work in the field of healthcare while interning at Heartland Alliance, specifically advocating for Illinois to expand Medicaid as part of the Affordable Care Act. As a policy manager at AIDS Foundation of Chicago, Molly works on the HIV Health Reform Project, which focuses on the Affordable Care Act and its impact on people living with HIV. This fall, Molly will begin a PhD program at Brandeis University's Helder School for Social Impact and Management and focus her research on healthcare access, utilization, and quality in the context of vulnerable populations and those living with chronic illness. And did you know that Molly is a die-hard Batman fan and is proud to boast she recently acquired the limitedly produced Ultimate Collector's Edition of the Batman Dark Knight Trilogy. After party at Molly's. Molly McAndrew.
To clear something up right away, I'm actually not Molly. My name is Sarah, but I work with Molly at the AIDS Foundation of Chicago, and she's in Boston right now, so she wanted to send me on her behalf and accept the word on her behalf, and she sent me a little something to say. But I also just want to put in my own words that I've worked with Molly for about a year, and I believe she's very deserving of this honor. She's very humble about it, but she puts in countless hours, early mornings, late nights, to organize advocacy actions and analyzing healthcare plans under the Affordable Care Act. And so I'm very happy to get to know her and work with her. And so quickly, she writes, "I'd like to begin by thanking the Windy City Times Committee for selecting me as a member of their 30 Under 30 class this year. It's truly an honor to be a part of this amazing group with so many inspiring individuals doing incredible work in our city. AFC is an organization committed to leading the fight against HIV and AIDS and improving the lives of those affected and impacted by the epidemic. My work includes monitoring the implementation of the Affordable Care Act and its impact on people living with HIV. This work has made clear to me that the impact of sound policy can have on the lives and health of individuals, and because of this, I've decided to return to school and earn a PhD in health and social policy. I intend to help develop and inform national public health policy to ensure that we protect and support the health of those living with HIV. I've had the great fortune of working on our policy team that's filled with intelligent, hardworking, and passionate individuals who provided mentorship and support through my time there. Unfortunately, a significant amount of our time as of late has been dedicated to pushing back on healthcare and human service funding cuts proposed in our state legislature. If adopted, these cuts will impact the work that we all do. Supportive housing funds will be slashed, the AIDS Drug Assistance Program will no longer provide aid to people living with HIV, and community-based organizations will see their funds evaporate before their eyes. This is not an issue specific to the HIV community, but to all vulnerable and disadvantaged communities that we work to support and lift up every day. As policy manager, I'd be remiss if I didn't leave you tonight without a call to action, so I do encourage you all to reach out to your legislators and demand that the state budget not include these devastating and immoral cuts to essential services provided in our communities. With a united voice, our demands cannot be ignored, and we will have a meaningful impact on the lives of the individuals that we serve. Again, a very heartfelt thank you to the Windy City Times, and I wanted to congratulate the fellow recipients of this award and all of their amazing work. Thank you.
The next person is Lucas McKeever. Lucas?
No.
No?
Nope.
Lucas? Going once, Lucas. Going twice. All right, well, let's congratulate Lucas.
All right, picking things up with Drew Moran. Very good. Drew Moran is 25 and is a graduate of Eastern Illinois University and a current candidate for an MA in Clinical Mental Health Counseling from Roosevelt University. He is also the manager of volunteers at Lakeview Pantry, where he has the pleasure of coordinating a corps of nearly 1,000 volunteers who help to serve those in need in the Lakeview community. Drew started as a volunteer for Lakeview Pantry in 2012 before becoming an intern with its advocacy program. Eventually, he became a half-time worker in the volunteer department while attending graduate school. After 18 months with the organization, Drew stepped into his current role heading a department that coordinates more than 36,000 hours of volunteer time per year. He is now honored to supervise and work alongside one of the most diverse, giving, and talented groups of individuals the city has to offer. In addition to his full-time work at the pantry, he continues to work toward practicing therapy with a specialization in queer issues and sexuality. He hopes he will be able to apply his knowledge and experience to his work as an advocate for the queer community and for all those who find themselves in need and lacking opportunity. And did you know, before entering his graduate program, Drew received an undergraduate degree in philosophy, which often gets him into trouble at cocktail parties. He's that guy. Drew Moran, if you would.
Thank you very much. I'd just like to thank the Windy City Times and Stuart Eisminger and Richard Tuner, who nominated me for this award. I'm only here because I truly do work with some of the most vibrant and energetic volunteers in the city. And I like to say that I have the best job in the world because I'm working with people who are at their best. Because I really do think that volunteering brings out the best in people. And that experience day in and day out is humbling, but it also has encouraged me to focus on things more than hunger. Things like poverty, things like people who face a lack of opportunity, things like the institutional racism that exists in our country, and things like, that are very close to my heart, issues that queer Americans face every day. But I think by the absolutely amazing people that I am honored to share the stage with, and all the other hundreds of young people who are working to change the world, that there was a really solid foundation to hand the torch to, that I think I know that people have been working on for decades and decades before we came, and they'll still be working on way after we're gone. So thank you to you guys very much, and thank you to all of you. Are we shaking? Oh. I wasn't.
One more?
At least I got the two-part down.
Right, next we have Julia Napolitano. 27 now, but was born in Illinois, grew up in New York State, and returned to the Midwest in 2007 for the opportunity to attend Indiana University of Bloomington.
Yes.
While in Indiana, she co-chaired the Midwest BLGTA College Conference, and in 2010 worked with the National LGBTQ Task Force on its annual Creating Change Conference. And when she moved here in 2011, Julia started to volunteer in healthcare settings as a space to explore gender and sexuality, believing that nuanced understandings of bodies, pleasure, desire, and identity pave the way for the better overall health of individuals and the communities and social movements that they are part of. But she is currently an HIV test counselor and health educator in Chicago House's prevention department, and also works at the welcoming sex and body positive store Early to Bed. Now, did you know Julia would like to start playing the viola again? Anyone interested in rocking out can get in touch. That's through Facebook or through one of the fans.
Hey everyone, how's everyone?
Good.
Yeah, thank you for all those who nominated me and everybody else who's up here. Thank you everybody who's up here, everyone who's out there. And yeah, just I guess, all I'll say is that thinking about this, being here today, I was thinking a lot about the different spaces that I've been in that people might call queer or LGBTQ, whatever letters or not letters you want to use, and how much that's changed for me in the time that that's been something that I articulate and think about in that way. Yeah, so whether you do something that's visible and labeled as LGBTQ or not, whether you're visible in a way that would bring you here today or not, just like always being aware of the different ways that we make impacts in our world, whether it's in an explicitly like queer or even activist space, or just thank you everybody that's making good changes in their worlds. Yeah, because there's a lot of ways to do that. So thanks for being here. I'm happy to be here and excited to know all of you that I might not know yet. So thanks guys.
Okay, next we have Akosua Owusu. Akosua? Apparently she couldn't be here tonight. We will make sure she gets her award. Round of applause for her.
All right. Next person is Chris Percy, who is a passionate political and issue organizer from the Austin area of the west side of Chicago. After studying psychology at Morehouse College in Atlanta, Chris moved back to Chicago looking for an opportunity to use the skills he obtained through study to empower people, to empower others. Now, by chance, he heard about the organizing fellowship with Obama for America in 2011. As a fellow with the Obama campaign, Chris spent 8 months working with the Oak Park and Proviso townships to implement the neighborhood team model, assist in the recall campaign against Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker, and organize for progressive candidates in both Wisconsin and Iowa. In 2013, Chris joined the Organization for Action as the Marriage Equality Issue Organizer. After a successful campaign, Chris continued to work with OFA as a spring trainer, training fellows to be organizers. After leaving OFA, Chris worked as a regional field director for Quinn for Illinois. Most recently, Chris worked as part of the State Treasurer Kurt Summers' campaign as the field director for Summers for Chicago, where he assisted in implementing a neighborhood think tank program for each neighborhood, including constituency think tanks for youth and the LGBTQ community in conjunction with the Treasurer's office. Now, did you know, outside of organizing, Chris enjoys traveling and reading, cooking, watching ridiculous amounts of television.
First of all, I would like to say that these lights are very hot. I feel like I may have lost 2 pounds right now, but I really want to say thank you, one, to Jamie Frazier, who nominated me. I would also like to say thank you to Tracy Bain, who was the queen of everything, in my opinion, for her work. A lot of times I just follow her lead. Whatever Tracy likes, that's what I like. And also I would like to thank my friends for coming out. Some of my friends from Morehouse, Alvin, and Sean and some of my other friends, Marquel and Karan. Really appreciate you coming out and supporting me. So thank you very much.
All right, next up we have Mallory Price. Okay. If you weren't here, there'd be several people who'd accepted on your behalf. Judging by that. Mallory Price, 27, grew up on the south side of Chicago and in the suburb of Tinley Park. She attended St. Mary's College of Notre Dame, where Mallory served as the president of the Gay and Straight Alliance. As a Point Foundation scholar, Mallory attended the University of Chicago for her master's in social work. During grad school, Mallory attended UCAN's LGBTQ Host Home program, helping to raise more than $10,000 to help house LGBTQ youth. Yeah. Vowels are important. Mallory has worked at Chicago House and Social Service Agency for the last few years, but left her position as Career Service Manager this June to take a position as Vice President of Operations for a construction company. Although she is leaving the social work field for now, she plans to run job readiness workshops for Chicago House's employment program each month. Mallory is also a vice chair of the Gay and Lesbian Alumni Association of Notre Dame and St. Mary's, and helped pioneer the first scholarship for LGBTQ students at the University of Notre Dame and St. Mary's College, which 2 students were awarded this April. In her time off, because she does have some apparently, Mallory enjoys antiquing, collecting rare books, playing with her dog, Tiny Tim, and fixing up her new house in Flossmoor. And did you know Mallory has been to 48 out of 50 states? I'm going to guess Alaska and Hawaii. Right? I knew I was wrong. I knew it. Alaska and New Hampshire. All right. Well, you're going to have a blast when we get there. Mallory Price.
Thank you. I'm really horrible at making speeches, so I wasn't really prepared, but I just want to say thank you very much to the Chicago House Employment team that nominated me. Thank you to Bon Wade, who I don't think is here, but who has been an incredible mentor to me. Thank you to my partner, Miranda. And thank you especially to my mom and dad. This is my mother, who always taught me. She always taught me to treat every single person with the utmost respect and dignity, and how to work hard and be a compassionate person, and she's the reason I became a social worker. And I think, and also I want to thank my dad too, who still to this day works 80 hours a week to give me all of the opportunities that I've had in my life, and I really appreciate them. And then thank you to everybody on this stage for all the incredible work that you've been doing. It's just so amazing to hear about all of just all of the accomplishments in the lives that every one of you touch. So, and then my last plug is, I think that we need to queer the south side and the south suburbs of Chicago a little bit more. And there's good housing in Homewood and Flossmoor, and people should move there and consider opening your mind and broadening our reach to the suburbs.
Carlos Ramirez is here?
He's not here. He wanted me to say
Yep. Why not?
Sorry, buddy. Carlos had a very important matter to deal with today. It's his grandma's birthday, so he had to be there for her. But he said that he wanted, he's very humbled, and that he's very thankful for all the LGBT leaders in Chicago who made an election like his possible. All right, thanks.
Okay. Vivica Ray Mazumder, all right, is 26 and is 1.5 generation Indian American youth worker and community organizer. Growing up in New York in the wake of 9/11 impacted Vi, short for Vivica, am I pronouncing that right? V. Yeah, it was one or the other. Impacted V deeply. And it moved them to become active around issues of racial justice, youth empowerment, and prison abolition. Currently, V runs a teen program called Kinetic for immigrant and refugee youth in Chicago Public Schools through Asian Americans Advancing Justice Chicago. V is a founder and current collective member of Chicago Desi Youth Rising, a core member of Invisible to Invincible, an organization that celebrates Asians and Pacific Islanders who identify as LGBTQQ in Chicago, and a former collective member of the Transformative Justice Law Project in Illinois. In 2014, V was recognized as one of the Trans 100. Among other things, V is passionate about using art as a tool for social change and building strong communities and chosen families. And did you know, V is all about making stencils. Surprise them with spray paint and an X-Acto knife, and they will be your new best friend. My new best friend, V. Ray.
So, hilariously, my online bio says I am 16. Contrary to popular belief, that is airport personnel, the high school, hall monitors that work in the high school, my Netflix queue, I'm not 16 or 26. But I do work, I do spend all my time with 16 and 17-year-olds with the teen program I work at, and I feel really blessed to be able to bring my queer identity into the work I do with immigrant youth and into the work I do every day. I come from an immigrant family, and navigating gender and sexuality has always been really difficult. But after my dad found out that I won this award, he called me and he was like, how are they doing? Because he was trying to use my pronouns, and it was the first time he's ever used my pronouns. And he failed miserably, but it really meant everything. So I want to say thank you to everybody that I'm here with. Thank you to Windy City Times, and thank you to my chosen family, the folks who nominated me, my given family, and all the community that I struggle with, and for transformation and liberation and healing. Thank you so much. Oh, and a quick call to action, because I am an organizer. Next week on July 1st at 10 a.m. at the Thompson Center, there's going to be a rally recognizing all the cuts in essential services that the governor refuses to move on. So please show up, be loud, and bring your people. 10 a.m. at the Thompson Center.